there, my name is Linda, and I spent the morning writing out my journey, and so I'm going to just read this off to you. When MCS came knocking at my door, it wasn't a gentle tap on the door. No, it didn't even ask to come in. It burst into my life in a violent way. An innocent encounter with perfume that took my breath away, and I honestly thought that I might die. That was 2 years ago, and it absolutely turned my life upside down. I began getting triggered more and more by things everywhere, to the point of feeling like this is insanity. The life I knew was gone, and with it the freedom and the joys that I once knew. I felt like I was living in a war zone where I could be injured at any moment. The only place that I felt reasonably safe was in my small bedroom. So out of desperation, I moved in there in June of last year because I couldn't even handle being around my family members. We have tried to go fragrance-free in our home, but as you know, it's impossible to control what 4 other people do, especially when they're not afflicted with the same thing as you. I have been blessed with family members who have tried to help me by making many adjustments for me. But this has been extremely difficult for all of us. There were times it was so bad for me, if I'd had another place to go where I wouldn't be triggered so much from exposures, I would have gone, but there was no place for me. Even as I think of this, my eyes well up with tears and I weep, because I know for some of you it has come to this. Talk about feeling like your heart's being ripped out. I acknowledge your pain. It is very real. Part of my healing journey involved joining an MCS group online. For the first time, I found others like me who really understood what I was going through. My heart broke open when I read your comments, and I felt your pain. I'm a very sensitive, empathetic person, and sometimes it became too much for me. When the group I was in closed down, I decided not to join another one, at least for a while, because although it was very helpful in so many ways, there came a point where I was becoming quite fixated on my illness, and I realized that wasn't helping me. Some of you remember me as the lady who posted a bunch of MCS songs I wrote over a 1-week period. It was a most amazing thing because I hadn't sung or played the piano for 4 years. I was afraid to post my first song because I felt like I looked like a wreck. There was nothing polished about me or my presentation, but I realized this is the real me right now. I was suffering and in pain like you, so I swallowed my pride and I posted this song. I poured out my heart, and you responded with such love and appreciation that I was overwhelmed. I cried and cried, and then I sat down the next day and the next day writing songs and sending them to you. I believe that getting real with you and sharing how I really felt about having MCS through my songwriting was when I really started to heal. Last night I looked at some of the videos of my songs, and I read your comments, and I cried again. This time it was because I realized how far I'd come since then. The words I was singing pierced my heart because they were filled with such pain and anguish, and yet they were songs of hope, for I wanted to believe that healing was possible for us all. I have no magic formula to give you. I can only tell you my story thus far. I'm not completely healed of MCS, but I can tell you I have not had to wear my mask in stores since the end of November. I have not had to use my puffer since then. I am no longer having bad reactions around my family members. I am not having emotional meltdowns all the time. I'm actually starting to feel okay, and a new joy is erupting in my heart. Everyone's journey is going to look different. We all have to admit eventually that there are things we do not understand about life. Although I consider MCS to be one of life's mysteries, I would like to tell you about my experience in hopes that it might help encourage you in some way. One of the songs I wrote for my MCS group is entitled, MCS, Are You a Blessing or a Curse? As strange as it may seem, I can say, in my case, MCS has turned out to be a blessing. For starters, it has made me aware of something that I would be ignorant about had I not become sick. But you already know that because you live that every day. You're not just the canary in the coal mine. You're also brave warriors, as far as I'm concerned. I want to tell you why I consider MCS to be a blessing for me, because I know that sounds kind of radical. It turns out that MCS was being used as a catalyst to bring about a deep healing in my whole being. How can that be, you say? Because I realized that MCS was an outward manifestation of how I really felt deep down inside about living here on planet Earth. All my life, I've been trying to repress my memories of past trauma. All my life, I've been trying to find a way to live here, to find a way to survive. So for me, that involved a lot of denying and suppressing the pain and fear inside of me. No matter how I tried, I could never seem to keep things together for very long before something would go wrong, and I always ended up blaming myself for the failures in my life. When I would be triggered by MCS, I was brought back to those repressed memories as if they were happening all over again, and the feelings that went with them were raw and powerful, feeling like there's no safe place for me in this world, feeling like I could be attacked at any moment and there's nothing I can do about it, feeling betrayed by those who are supposed to protect me, feeling overwhelmed with grief and loss, feeling intense rage, hatred, shame, unworthiness, hopelessness, and despair. When I made the connection between MCS exposures and traumatic memories, I realized I could use the exposures to heal myself. I believe that we all have God within us. Some people are not aware of this and they think that they're all alone and God is way out there somewhere, unaware and indifferent to their plight. But when I was 18 years old, I became aware of God in a more up-close and personal way. This has been a great help and strength to me throughout my life, for my life has been a healing journey in so many ways. This may sound strange to you, but the God part of me became like a loving parent to the wounded girl in me, telling me it was okay to tell my story without fear of judgment, in an atmosphere of love and compassion. If she was afraid, courage would be given her to speak her truth. Most of all, she would be believed and validated, and the power that had been taken away from her would be given back to her. Her dignity and her self-worth would be given back to her. I asked her to forgive me for trying to push her away and send her away because I couldn't handle her pain. Finally, at the age of 61, I was able to wrap my arms around the whole of me and accept and honor every part of myself. So when all these memories came back, I felt like I had to go into hell and face my darkest demons, only to find out that they were only the wounded parts of myself that needed to be brought to the light so that they could be healed. I would like to end this by sharing something interesting. In early December, I found this whiteboard in the garbage. It had a child's drawing on it, and I brought it home to use it to paint on. I didn't feel right painting over the child's drawing, so I painted in and around it. For hours as I sat there painting, I sang the words, "I am the light I am," over and over. I hung the painting in my bedroom, and I often looked at it. Right after I did this painting, I started noticing changes in my being. Every day it seemed to be less and less reactive to things, and my nervous system seemed to be settling down. It is mid-January, so it's been about a month and a half since I did the painting, and I continue to be encouraged by changes I'm seeing. I want to end this video with my painting and the song I sang over it. I bless you, dear ones, with new hope and joy for your own healing journey. I am the light I am. 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 I am the light I am.